it is widely opined that one should choose the city of Chandigarh for happy and settled retirement life. Why so? Because of its well-known architecture and town planning. The city amenities for a modern life is required, which Chandigarh can offer to one. But as far as its administrative and political emotions is concerned, that is quite opposite, which is sort of volatile and also unsettling. This is because of the history or the background of the Chandigarh as a union territory. And recently, one of the central government's step and the Ministry of Home Affairs notified that the the designation of advisor to administrator of Union Territory of Chandigarh is to be replaced with the post of chief secretary. So it's invited so much a political debate, and we in this short session will try to understand the status of Union Territory of Chandigarh and its future and present too. Before understanding the Union Territory category or status in India, it very first time the idea, the brainchild of Britishers in the year 1874. In they passed the Scheduled District Act 1874 under the viceroyship of the Lord Northbrook, who succeeded the viceroy after the tragic assassination of Lord Mayo. And in this Scheduled District category, they they relaxed the central administration or viceroyal administration to the some territory or some part of that British rule occupations in India, that so that the local government can choose or have a greater say over the appointment of officers and administrator in order to deal with the revenue as well as judicial administration. But later on, in the very first the onset of 21st century, the chief commissioner provinces were also came into existence. Particularly, we know that the Balochistan, the northwest frontier provinces, as well as Delhi, India, 1922. So, at the same time, there are others set of provinces administered as a suzerain princely states. Those surrendered their the authority and power in order to deal with external affairs to the Britishers by the princely states, the kings or emperors, or that their their influential leaders. But in independence history, after the post independence, we have seen several and very fast changes in respect of Union territories. Earlier, at the independence, at the time of independence here in 1949, when constitution uh, under the stage of drafting, and some parts were well drafted, but our constitution framers, they put four categories of territories: part A, part B, part C, and D. Part C and D were having with a different characteristic. Part C were about 10 territories or princely states, or earlier chief that commissioner provinces, including Ajmer, Coorg, the Vindhya Pradesh. These were the Part C states, but at the same time, Part D territories exclusively for the Union Territory of Andaman and Nicobar. So this way, these arrangements were made during the onset of the Constitution of India, but later on, it replaced with very watershed constitutional arrangement uh, after the seventh constitutional amendment 1956. At the same time, they also rolled out the State Reorganization Act of 1956 that created the the union territory and specified the provisions regarding it. It put into the part 8 part 8 of the constitution, and it had even uh, it it had at that time uh, only articles uh, 239, 240, and 241. Later on, it's amended various time and various occasions, and in order to enlarge the provision and scope of union territory, including the addition of legislative assembly like arrangements in the setup of union territories. We can have you can see in the affairs of national capital territory, 69th amendment, that for the state of the union territory of Delhi in 1992, as well as for the Puducherry in 1963. They also incorporating the legislative assemblies. Further, this is how, and if we're going to talk about the Chandigarh, then its placement here in the northern part of India, bordered by the Himachal Pradesh, uh, the part of Chandigarh, earlier erstwhile Ambala district of Punjab, who uh, in which Chandigarh is settled after incorporating some villages of Ambala district, along with the Punjab and Haryana. Uh, we can see that it is the city of Chandigarh, or Union Territory of Chandigarh, is surrounded by the three states. Ahead, the reason behind creation of Union Territory. This is one of the major argument, or the rationale behind the formation of Union Territory in India, and among them about six major reasons or rationale behind the creation. First is political administrative consideration. We can see this in the case of NCT Delhi, as well as for the Chandigarh. Because of Delhi is the seat of central administration or union government, as well as uh, the Supreme Court, the FX judiciary, and parliament, the legislative central legislative body of the country. And that's why Delhi having a special setup and a special setting, administrative and political setting. That's why it is put into the union territory for the ease of administration as well as governance here. And same with the Chandigarh. We'll look into the matter of Chandigarh, why union territory of Chandigarh, which is also a shared capital of Haryana as well as Punjab, but designated or put into the UT category. So this is because of the consideration uh, by the perspective of political administration. And the next is cultural distinctiveness. This is something with the Puducherry. Puducherry, when it, the territory of Puducherry that regained from the French occupation in the year 1961, it given a special uh, the identity, and the government of the day in center, they uh, made a arrangement, a special arrangement for the Puducherry and its people, owing to the special cultural and their own kind of the societal setup of the Puducherry, and that's why it's to uphold its cultural distinctiveness. Puducherry is one of the UT because of this rationale of its cultural identity. The third is leverage strategic importance. This is in the case of, we can see the uh, Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep. These two are serve as if the frontier or frontier of mainland India, and it is important for the our security, especially, as well as trade and other things. So it's having a strategic location. It's given granted a UT category status, and we also know that recently Andaman and Nicobar is designated placed as a the headquarter of Tri-Service Command. So all the Air Force, Army, as well as Navy, Indian Navy, is placed here. Their regional headquarters are there. The another type of UT category rational is a unique ethno-tribal identity and well-being of the people of that region, especially the tribal. This is regarding to the all the north eastern states. Earlier, the parts of Nagaland, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh. These areas were the Union territory, uh, and they during the 1970s they enjoyed or they granted their statehood. But earlier, because of their ethnic tribal identity as well as their welfare, their special treatment and care for these purposes, they given these areas put into the Indian territory status. And next is restoring internal security. This is the true with the case of Jammu and Kashmir because of its uh, the issue of militancy there, especially after the 1980s, late 1980s, and the situation of law and order is quite fragile in the region of Jammu and Kashmir, and so that in recently in year 2019, the states of Jammu and Kashmir is reduced to the Union territory in form of Union territory, and this is one of the special case with respect to the UT of JNK. And at the same time, another is distinct aspiration. This is with the Ladakh. We can have an example of Ladakh because of the people and society of the Ladakh. Its ecology, its environment is a completely different and very sensitive ecology of the region, and that's why to aspiration of people, their development, their welfare as well as their personal aspiration as well, including political and economic. This particular Ladakh region territory is given a UT status in the year 2019. So these are the rationale behind UTs, and we need to understand why the UT is given a special emphasis for this area. Another, so administrative character. So first of all, union territories are unitary in nature. These are directly governed by the central government under the seal of president, though all governance is put under the president of India, but especially for the UTs, uh, the administrator act as the agent of president, and under the under the intervention of uh, the Ministry of Home Affairs as per the constitutional framework. And the next is one category but not uniform in administration. This is case because of the we have eight union territory in India, but if you see the administrative setup is different. For the Delhi, we have LG, Lieutenant Governor, as the head of the government, head of the this union territory, but the head of the government is the CM because this is elected representative of the people of Delhi. But in case of Andaman Nicobar, LG, uh, Andaman Nicobar like this, LG Governor is the head of the UT of Andaman and Nicobar, as well as is a de facto head of the government of the Andaman and Nicobar. So he has a dual role to play. So this is with the Andaman and Nicobar. So there are different characters. Same with the Puducherry. The Legislative Assembly of Puducherry can they empowered with making a legislation regarding all the state list. This is very important, plus concurrent list. But this is not in the case with the Delhi, because Delhi, uh, the legislature of Delhi can make a legislation in the matter of all state subject, but except the land, law and order, as well as police. So this is something very unique or different from other. So that's why one category of UT, but non-uniform in administration. The another is president as a specify a role. So president, as we have said that administrator of these administrator or LG or lieutenant governor, they act as the agent of the president, and this particular these administrator act as a facilitator for the UT's affair. So this is something mix of these two arrangements. And next is UT advisory committee. This is something very special regarding with the non-legislative UTs other than Delhi, Puducherry, and JNK. Uh, the in the matters of the socioeconomic developments of the specified or concerned union territory, the Union Territory Advisory Committee is set up, in which under the MHA, under the allocation of Business Rule 1961, this is very important. And here, Home Minister is chair, who heads the this particular committee, and the administrator or LG is a member or advisor to it. Plus, the all the elected members, that means the if any municipal corporation, like in case of Chandigarh or Delhi or others, they also serve as a member of this particular committee, so they can also give their precious viewpoints or outlooks regarding the welfare or development of the particular UT. So this is very important. Okay. As far as the history of Chandigarh is concerned, it's very different. So that we need to understand the chronology, a timeline of development of political administrative setup in Chandigarh. So we can start with the very first time when the city of Chandigarh uh, developed after the planning and so much of the construction activity, which started in year 1949 and in year 1953. By that year, President of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who inaugurated the city formally, and in that time onwards, the city serving as the capital of Punjab state until 1966, when it later transformed into the Union Territory in the year 1966. But before that, and that time, the chief commissioner who headed the local administration, like other commissionerate system in India, is still that is the we can so as a pramandal that still in the existence and in practice in the number of states in India. And a local MLA was also there to represent the citizens of city. And but in the year 1966 was a turning point, a watershed moment for the state of Punjab, when Punjab Reorganization Act that led a bifurcation. Uh, that that particular act was enrolled or rolled out after the Justice J.C. Shah Commission, in the response of the various committees, those recommended the bifurcation of the state of Punjab. And based on two rationale. First is in the lingual as well as cultural identity or distinctiveness. First, they given the Punjab and this Punjabi and Hindi language as the first. You can see that lingual based bifurcation. Uh, Hindi speaking belt, Haryana; Punjabi speaking belt, Punjab. So basically, it was earlier so much of a political demand that made by the Akali Dal leadership for the bifurcation of the state of Punjab, so that they can live up to their aspirations well and taken care of. But later on, the moment when the state of Punjab bifurcated, the capital of Chandigarh became the point of contention because of the political process. They claimed both the states claimed over the city of Chandigarh for its capital, but the process of resolution remained pending for the many years, uh, and the November 1st city, when uh, viewing these issues, UT that government of India put Chandigarh as a union territory in the 1st November of 1966 under the section of 4 Punjab Reorganization Act 1966. So this is very important. And thereafter, Office of Chief Commissioner as head of the government of the Union Territory of Chandigarh, that began and continued up to the May 31st, 1984. And this is the time when the change of responsibility and designation that took place, and the governor of Punjab given all the power to act as the administrator of the Union Territory of Chandigarh. So that is something again a twist in the administrative and political affairs of Union Territory of Chandigarh. And uh, thereafter, there was agitation and demand, especially under the leadership of Siromani Akali Dal, one of the most popular party and political section in the region of Punjab. They demanded a capital project area of Chandigarh to be subsumed to the or given to the state of Punjab. So at that time, Prime Minister of India, Rajiv Gandhi ji, who signed an agreement with the Siromani Akali Dal leadership to transfer the some areas of Chandigarh to the state of Punjab, as well as some Hindi speaking belt of Punjab. Those are lying inside the Punjab to be transferred to the Haryana, and the division and sharing of the city of Chandigarh. So this was the one of the watershed moment in the political history of the Chandigarh and India. But because of at that time the political instability across the Punjab and Haryana, that led to the central government to think and review over the decision and agreement. So till from that time it remained under the limbo. No. If the office of chief secretary will serve uh, as an advisor to erstwhile advisory role to the lieutenant governor or administrator of Chandigarh Union Territory, or governor of Punjab, who is ex officio administrator of Union Territory of Chandigarh, then at that time that was a different setup. But this time, if chief secretary will at the helm of the affairs of the advisory role, then it will be different, because he is appointed in naturally in other states, or the full pledged states in India, in which chief secretary is generally appointed by a cabinet committee of state, and which is headed by the chief minister. And though his or her tenure is not fixed, but he or she will be the most senior most civil servant, generally from the IS cadre, and 23rd in order of precedence and in the priority. And he also serves, or he or she also serves as ex officio head of state civil services board, which is a constellation of civil servants, including all the state civil servants, central government services officials, as well as all India services, IS, IPS, or Indian Forest Service. He also served as a secretary to the state cabinet, so it's a very prime role he or she has to play, and also a member of state crisis management committee whenever state came into any disaster or any kind of political or any crisis situation. Then he or she has to deal and act as a advisor to the chief minister, who also heads the state crisis management committee. So this is the role of chief secretary. But if the now if Union Territory of Chandigarh is going to get the chief secretary, then his role to be seen whether he will play as an administrator or advisor, or some other role which is still now playing in other states as a chief secretary. So that is to be seen. Now we know that India is one of the nation which enjoys or afford the federal structure, and this federalism is very much termed as cooperative federalism by some of the political scientists, Casey Ware or Granville Austin. And in various occasions that our Supreme Court of country also opined and observed the character and tried to interpret it in its own term, that how the play of federalism will take place or should be in our country. So in 1977, state of Karnataka versus the Union of India case, in which uh, Honorable Supreme Court observed that on the subject of federal structure, I quote, on the subject of federal structure, our constitution makers seem to have kept in mind three main considerations. The firstly, larger interest of India. Secondly, states' interest must not be ignored altogether. And thirdly, union's power of intervention during crisis situation in any part of India. So these are the observation made by the Honorable Supreme Court, and it may be, and they were hinting that we need a cooperative federalism type of setup in which separation of powers are very much well defined, as well as other things of political administrative setup should be carried away in a fashion so that there could be avoid any kind of friction between a state and center. So with this, I thank you all for this short session.